Hello and welcome to some casual Wingspan gameplay. Correction. Hello and welcome to some insane Wingspan gameplay. We have Killdeer and White-Throated Swift in the opening hand. It's rare that we have an opening hand where our view is centered on the blackbird in the middle and then we decide, oh wait, actually we might not going to need it. But unfortunately, as irony would have it, first round goal is eggs in the water, in which we can only participate with a water bird, which the Killdeer is not because of horse rules. Also, we rather wouldn't play it. We wouldn't want to play it into the water. There is no water-dwelling bird in the trade, so our only option to participate in the first round goal would be the blackbird. At some point we will need also forest birds, which seems to suggest that we could also keep the screech owl in order to get somewhere with our forest. But this has several problems. So it's obvious that we want to keep the most powerful bird in the opening hand, the Killdeer, and as it teams up well with a White-Throated Swift, which can recycle unwanted cards for new eggs. These two are rather obvious. And for the reasons I just described, we would also like these two birds, but then we can only keep one food and it will take quite a bit of time until we can play that blackbird. We could also skip that screech owl to have the food for blackbird immediately available. That would cost us 2 food gaining actions in order to play Killdeer and Swift, which doesn't really change when we kept the owl. It would be 3 actions then, with 3 times a slight chance of scoring extra points. But what does change is we would also need to get food for that blackbird first. So probably the idea would be to slam the blackbird and in the first round do nothing but digging for cards that can generate food. And if that doesn't succeed, play Killdeer, White-Throated Swift in the second round and continue searching for food. So I'd like none of these bonus cards. The behaviorist will be difficult, so at least the first column is difficult with our starting setup, and in general it often doesn't really pay out well to try and fill this bonus card because it leads you to play birds that you actually don't like. We have to kill you, it's at least 1 ground nest bird, so let's go. We might want to deny the bronzed cowbird because it is quite a tax for my grassland plan. But the good thing is, in round 1 we won't be giving any clues that the grassland is of any interest for us. With blackbird in the water, our opponent might assume that we're actually fine with generating our eggs in the wetlands. So I think as my starting setup is very limited in the sense of we have no ways of gaining food, I cannot waste a so-called hate-picking action. Denying the bronzed cowbird just wouldn't do. It is worthwhile mentioning that it could have been an alternative opening to just pick the wheat, because we will be needing it. We don't have means of generating extra food. And denying the wheat could be a thing, because then there are remaining bird food. It would be berry, berry, mouse, mouse, which our opponent maybe cannot really put to use. Eastern Phoebe, hey, that does solve our food gaining problem. So under the assumption that they will use it, we actually don't need to worry too much about our first food, at least, because incidentally, if they used it 2 times, giving us 2 grubs, that would solve one of the biggest problems of my opening hand and make the search for food generation birds much easier. So let's ourselves start digging. Oh, so interesting. But I think not for us this game. That's a food processing bird, not exactly what we're looking for. I will actually keep the flamingo for the time being, because it has the right nest for round 2 and for our bonus card, although I don't expect it to be played. So if our opponent builds a really heavy wetlands engine where they go 3 or 4 times per round, we might consider playing the flamingo as a counter, as that might even be better than a strong grassland setup. Speaking of grassland, also the brewer's blackbird is definitely interesting, but I think I cannot rely on them giving me food the entire game, so I think we rather need to keep digging for some food generating cards. So this is not what I intend to do. Canvasback also at least has the right nest, and I think 4 spaces. So if we come to a well-working grasslands engine, then we might need egg spaces at some point, because there's a neutral egg, what's the English word? Let's call it a total. So there is no plus or minus eggs caused by these birds, because Kildare discards 1 and Swift generates 1. Meaning if we only have these 2, we will get 3 eggs with every activation. And this does fill the egg slots quite quickly. So Canvasback might be an option, although it's not the greatest bird, because we don't really intend to frequently use the wetlands. If we did, however, if we intended to play the Canvasback, we might consider playing it in round 1 in order to be able to actually contest the round goal. Because then we have more egg spaces than they have. But this doesn't align well with our overall quest of finding food generating birds. But still, chance of winning the round goal is always very important in 2-player games. Let's grab that 1 wheat, play Canvasback, and apply some pressure towards the round goal. So they have used their eggs to draw cards, so they're digging for solutions as well, as it seems. Which means they cannot produce another wetlands bird with their next action. Meaning in order to exceed the limit of 4, they would have to lay eggs. Play bird, lay eggs again and again. And still they would be... Yeah, I mean, they could come to 6 doing so if they spend the remaining food on this. So there is the ramen, which doesn't help with the round goal at hand. So let's introduce the canvas back and lay some eggs ourselves. So they had 3 actions. But no, as their first action was play Grasslands Bird, they have no option to, and they have no eggs left. They cannot exceed the limit of 4 because they have no option of. I mean, they would have to lay eggs now, potentially 3. Then they could play a water bird, which would reduce them to to 1 egg. So they didn't spend their food. So the maximum that they can get to, if they played another water bird, is still 4, because the water bird wouldn't take 1 of these eggs, and then they could lay a maximum of 3. So if we end up with 5 eggs, we're actually fine. And by fine I mean we will win this round goal. And are somewhat prepared for the next. What we didn't achieve then is finding another food source apart from their Phoebe. And we also didn't really keep our egg spaces clean for our grassland engine that we want to play. But hey, it's still fine, I think. But it's a very interesting game, so it's somewhere between preparing fancy stuff, competing for very real, very basic stuff at hand, which is the current round goal, and on the same time thinking about how to prepare for getting more food. Oh. They play an oyster catcher. Right, they drew this from the tray, right? And there's a bird that generates food, so that could help. So at the moment the Mortal Wings is being very generous and at least offers us hints and options of how to proceed in this game. So they have played the oyster catcher, and as I said, they can reach 4 eggs, which means we need to lay eggs again in order to safely win this round goal. Oyster catcher also has the ground nest, which means they have already 2 nests for the next round goal, which will also be stiff competition then. So at least the cowbird situation seems to have resolved itself. We presented no hints of a potent grassland, and accordingly they played it correctly and didn't draw the cowbird with their multiple card drawing actions. Although, I mean, they have 1 action left, I could decide to draw it now, just for good measure. So, there are interesting birds. The woodpecker would be very interesting, as it costs only 1 food and potentially generates extra food. Goshawk doesn't even cost food and blocks forest spaces. But I would expect that they will pick the woodpecker, and yeah, all these birds are interesting for them as well. Because the green heron would filter their grubs they get while card drawing into the food they need. The woodpecker is easily paid with the food they get from the phoebe, and the goshawk is easily paid for with the cards they draw, and card drawing being the best action. So they're not the best birds in the game, but I could see them being interested in any of those. Oh, to my surprise, they do something entirely different and instead reveal another food donor to me. Interesting. So then I might want to draw cards. Yeah, so these two are definitely interesting ways of doing stuff. Yeah, I want this in order to feed the goshawk. And the blackbird for that matter. Thrush has the right nest. I think they have diversified into the grassland as well, so I think there are now chances to actually play the flamingo. Oh, white stork. That sucks. So that one they will definitely draw. I mean, it's okay. So I cannot waste any more time on card drawing here. And yeah, so now I have the luxurious situation that I have good food setup for the forest, which costs only 1 grub and 2 cards. So I might want to go for the grasslands engine now. I would expect that they draw the white stork by one way or the other and generate some free food, which is what happens. Incidentally, the berry cannot really be used, but it could be used for bullfinch or hermit thrush at some point. But we will start out by playing that swift. So now the question would be, yeah, it totally depends now on what they do. If they give away more free food, then we can potentially skip some of our resource generations. They provide fish, which we don't need. So within their next action they are going to provide grubs, because they need a grub for the white stork. I think that is pretty reliable. Question is, what do we do until then? I think we can just play the killdeer and overpay, because if we get 1 grub, then we are in range for playing the woodpecker, and so everything will be fine. So it would of course be nice to get the hermit thrush into play, but for that what would need to happen? I think we will be getting a grub now, so we could play the woodpecker from that. but then we cannot get the food that we need with one food gaining action. We could take both berries if we discarded one of our birds. Then we would have 2 actions left, which is not enough to get Hermit Thrush into play and place eggs on it. So that's devastating. So as expected, we get the grub. What we could do is we have to lay eggs on the killdeer in any case. We could do this first and check if we can find another ground nest bird. I mean, here is one, but it's not the most appealing one. And it's interesting because it does take grubs, but we won't be getting free grubs. I think they will play the white stalk now. They will probably be giving away more free food, but not necessarily the ones that we need, so... So I don't really want to play the black next tilt, to be honest. Still, I think that laying eggs is a fine action right now. Drawing random cards. Yeah, we activate the 2-point action. So there is no cheap ground nest bird for us now, but with a mountain chickadee we could potentially generate some extra value. Or we can feed the goshawk with it. We have to see. I want to get my food supply going. So I would assume that they will want to use their fancy new egg laying action. The trick is they have only 6 free spaces and no food, which means they will probably have to activate the nightingale excessively in order to be able to play more birds, to have more egg spaces, to be able to keep using their now best action constantly. Yeah, this is again a game like, I don't know if you have seen the video called Peregrine Pace against Cormoran. I feel quite well with the setup, but it is a game where I would probably instantly lose if they flip Bonelli's Eagle or Eastern Imperial Eagle at some point. Because in exactly this setup, they need to generate food and they can only do it effectively in a way that also gives me food. And the only way to break this cycle is to play the big point bomb eagles. And if they have found them, or if they do find them, things will be grim. Ah, interesting. We got another grub, actually. If I had only known this. So actually this opens the door for the Hermit Thrush if we pick the berries. But there is also other interesting birds. So the golden eye is an interesting bird because it generates free eggs based on my other cavity nests, and I do have them. But the thing is, I'm not really short on eggs. I'm rather short on egg spaces, and this is nothing that the golden eye really tackles. The hooded crow is basically a ruff, which could be a nice Taxation for their nice grassland, but I think it's also not important enough. So I think I will just go for chickadee. And simply have my own ways of solving the food problem. So they could, worst case now would probably be if they played a ground nest bird for 1 grub and filled it in order to win the round goal. But it would still be far better than them playing one of the eagles. So immediately Wilson snipe and what's the other one called that does exactly the same, that looks like Stracciatella eyes? Spotted Sandpiper, is it the name? I think so. Doesn't seem to be the case, so they are laying. Oh, raven. Couldn't you have appeared 1 turn early? I mean, so I don't need to deny this raven because they cannot draw it as their turn is over. The question is, will I want the raven? And will I want to have my fate in the THEKLARK Lark? Which I'm very fond of lately, having won 2 games on her rarely used back. Could be interesting. I mean, and it's also a good bird for my bonus card, right? I think this is meme-tastic enough. I have to get them. Both of them. And then, sorry Bullfinch. We won't be needing you anymore. So this means we're tied for the round goal. At the moment we're also tied for the current round goal, which is nice. So yeah, we need to get that raven down. With Killdeer and Raven, we have good means of solving the inherent problem of THEKLARK Lark. I mean, the bird has several problems, which is why it is I think the least popular bird on the Wingspan tournament Discord. So for once it's kind of expensive, and then it generates 2 eggs at the cost of 1 wheat, having only 3 egg spaces itself, so that does seem like a number, which it is usually, but if you have things like ravens which can use eggs to generate wheat plus something else, it can actually be quite nice. And this is what we will be going for now. I don't want to spend the wheat. So with the lark and the thrush, we would have the minimum amount of our bonus card, which would be fine. I think we won't have much additional time in any case. So I would still go for playing the Goshawk, so we will generate +1 card every round. So they have gained food themselves, without giving away stuff. Which does make sense, I guess. Let's lay some eggs, get some grubs. Draw some cards. Oh, okay. We know of one eagle that they won't be having. That's great. And also, we won't need this Quaco Hero. Okay, so they can still have Bonellis. But the second best and third best no food birds are in our control now. Also, they have pivoted towards the forest. So they seem to be intent on actually spending food for their birds, which looks like they haven't found a zero cost bird. So yeah, then it's basically laying eggs and generating the resources that I need for the birds that I have in hand now. At the moment I'm still willing to play all of them. I might refrain from playing the goshawk actually. Now they're really going for the forest. Okay. Playing my patented Thekla's Lark. Probably I will lose this game and people will say, see, this is just because you play Thekla's Lark, and I will say, oh, well, okay. But I don't mind. I think this bird does need to get some love. As does the loggerhead shrike, probably. But that has been around for longer, so it probably got some love. At least by this meme of how he behaves after he got his first cash. If you don't know this meme, I highly recommend to scroll through the history of memes in the Wingspan tournament Discord until you find it. It's, I think, still my favorite meme. It's probably what I will do if there comes the day that I will win a game against Gruvenstein. I will probably perform exactly the same action on camera. If I'm lucky, I won't be recording at that point. If it ever comes. Okay, enough of the insiders and memes. What's happening? What is our opponent doing? Not much, apparently. How are we faring in the round goal? Still ahead. And we have a zero cost bird that costs 3 food, which does seem like a math problem. Ah, interesting. So yeah, we'll lay eggs and then play another bird. So not this round. We need 1 wheat and potentially... we could. It will make a sad Thekla's Lark, unfortunately, if we don't take wheat now. But the thing is, it would be vital to drop the Hermit Thrush now, I think. So I think we should play it safe and not play it cute. Thekla will get her wheat in due time, so I don't think we'll be playing any of these. Oh, that's cute. So we're ahead by 1. They have 2 actions left and only 1 food, so if they don't have Bonellis, we should be fine for that round goal. So now we have fulfilled the first step of the enclosure builder. We won't be going to fulfill the second step. Next round it will be laying eggs, playing Eastern Imperial, and maybe playing the Goshawk. It might become vital for the round goal actually. So there are 2 forest birds now. It's not unlikely that they play a second. Or even a third, so no, let's so I've done something for 3 food. The wild turkey, okay. So I was kind of fearing for this play an extra bird, which might still happen, so it's not unlikely altogether that they fill all the 5 spots here, which I then cannot really compete with. I mean, of course I could play the chaffinch in the forest, but as I have no intentions of activating the forest, it would be not the most satisfying play. In any case, I will lay eggs first and see where this is going. The warbler and the grub. Okay. Do I want to grab that warbler? Maybe I do. Because that would be a better option than the chaffinch. And having options is nice. So let's first lay some eggs. Cannot do this now. We will grab at least 1 wheat. Potentially a second one. Draw this card, draw this card. Tuck this card. We cannot generate enough cards for all of our birds of prey that we have in hand. Might be consideration to actually use the raven to generate some rodents. those rodents are fewer points. Yeah, it evens out, right? Because a card that I tuck in the Birds of Prey are worth 1 point, but a card that I tuck in the Swift are worth 2 points. And the resource costs for 2 cards or 2 rodents is exactly the same. It might be even conceivable to not play the Imperial Eagle, but instead play the Blue-Winged Warbler into the forest in order to contest the round goal. Oh, interesting. Free stuff. So we don't need to activate the Raven anymore to play that Warbler. That's interesting. Yeah, first I'll lay eggs once more. Ideally I want to lay eggs 2 times in order to generate 4 points with Thekla. Yeah, I'm going to pass on the Raven for this time. Use the Killdeer for one of these. Interesting birds, we're not going to need them anymore. So, with the food randomly available, the Warbler is actually worth more points than the Goshawk, so we will be playing that one first. Good thing is that we are second in the last round. That's actually an aspect of why beginning in this game of 2 players is so nice, because you get the first pick in the very beginning from the tray, and also on the last round you're sitting in the final spot, being able to observe what your opponent does and react accordingly. So it's not only very nice to go first on round 1, but it's also very nice to go last on round 4, I think. Even more food. In any case, we're going to play this. So if they play more forest birds, then I will just play the Goshawk to the forest. And refrain from playing that Imperial Eagle, the fish crow. Yeah, so it will be vital to play that goshawk, but maybe not right away. Doesn't really matter, right? Oh, well, it does. I mean, the one thing that could happen, they could have... No, they can't. I was thinking that they could have the green woodpecker, but there are one very short of that. And if they played the woodpecker, they would have virtual 6 forest birds, which I couldn't compete with, so then I would, of course, rather play the eagle than the goshawk. But since that is not the case, I will play the goshawk, which gets a very healthy diet of an Imperial Eagle, and hopefully winning or at least tying the round goal, and then I lay eggs again, activating only Thekla and Swift, generating 4, 6, 8 points again, which is quite decent. Question is, will it be enough? They will have a massive 30 points on eggs, 11 tucked cards. They have only 1 bonus card, which might or might not be good. We are fared quite decently on the round goals. Won this one, tied this one, won this one. Will win or tie this one. We're also not too bad in the eggs department. We don't have 30, but we will have 22, 23. They even played a hummingbird. Okay, so they tied for this round goal, but they only generated 2 extra points doing so. Okay, fine. Then proceed as planned. Feed this, skip this, tuck this. And see if this is enough to beat it. It's definitely a high-class game. Ah, nice. Hello. That's kind of devastating. I want to see the counting. What the fuck? Did it cancel my last turn? Nice. Okay, let's do it again. It was probably something like... Wait, they activated Thekla's Lark? We didn't program it. That was not foreseen. So again, seriously? Can we... So, it really didn't resolve. We couldn't play the last round. So, we had to count it manually. And I'm very happy to present the most overpowered bird in the history of the game, which is, of course, Thekla's Lark, or as linguists aware of the phenomenon called haplology call it THEKLARK. Yeah, so we won this 100 to 93. It was a really nice game. It's a shame that at the end we had to spend like 20 minutes of our lifetime trying to play the final round, which just didn't work because of this ever-recurring bug. I hope you never encounter that bug because it was really annoying. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you're not too unhappy with the lack of the final scoring, which I actually always enjoy after a video. Well, can have it all. So this is my 3rd win in a row with games I have played Thekla's Lark in. More to be coming soon. And yeah, so just to restate my quest, many people say that this bird is utterly unplayable, and I believe it's not. It's situational, and in some situations it's really, really decent. So I think it's not the worst bird in the game. Maybe second worst, but probably even better. I mean, look at the laser eyes. It's probably potent as hell. Well, that's it for me today. Rather unusual structure today, but well, I hope to see you again on my next video. Take care. If this applies to you when you watch this video, happy holiday season 2022, and if it doesn't, happy whatever, and see you next time.